What's good, YouTubers? Your boy Flash Speaks back for another quick one, man. All right, so AJ Brown spoke to the media yesterday. Philadelphia Eagles AJ Brown. And of course, they asked him about the cryptic tweet that he had tweeted on X after the Philadelphia Eagles had defeated the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A game in which A.J. Brown was not very productive. I believe he had something like 2 catches for 9 yards, maybe something like that. For some reason, that's just kind of sticking out in my head. There was a lot in the second half, especially a lot of him being targeted by Jalen Hurts, and for whatever reason, it not connecting. Could have been a combination of things. Could have been at times Jalen Hurts was inaccurate, on those throws, which all quarterbacks do. It was like missing certain throws that he normally hits. It was also a bit of A.J. Brown really not really being open, having that much separation. There were other times when the cornerback did a damn good job, and it was just one of those games where, okay, you didn't dominate. All right. But speaking on his comments and everything, his comments just prove my ultimate point, which is why you should ignore A.J. Brown and other wide receivers like that, unless they are explicitly saying they are not happy with being in a place and want to be traded. If they're not explicitly, clearly requesting a trade, just ignore guys. Let them vent, let them pout, whatever. Some people, that's their therapy. I guess that's the way they just deal with stuff. And in this case, A.J. Brown, you're talking about, a great player. One of our best wide receivers, probably maybe the best wide receiver we have on the team right now. We need him ultimately, I think, to repeat Super Bowl champs, if that's what's going to happen. So, ignore him, man. And this is just also in life in general. When someone says something or writes something or that's cryptic, meaning you have to figure it out, interpret it. It's not explicit, it's implicit, right? And you got to figure it out. It's kind of best to ignore, because all you can do is kind of speculate over what they mean. And then you might interpret it as an attack on you, for example. And you spend all week getting all upset about it, and you might even answer back in a cryptic way, or you might even step to them straight up, and then all the person has to do is just say, dude, I wasn't even talking about that. I wasn't talking about you. Making you feel like you're crazy. They could be lying or telling the truth, but you end up feeling like you crazy. Like this person treating you like you crazy, right? So that's why it's like, and the reality of these situations is like, it's the media really blowing them out of proportion. Of course, the media denies everything. As devilish as they are, that's what they do. They say, no, AJ Brown the one that said it. We're just talking about it. Yeah, but you're talking about it includes speculation, and it includes just coming up with theories and stuff like that, and then those things spread like wildfire, okay? And they can cause distractions, and they can cause problems for a team that you're supposed to be covering, and in a way, from our perspective, rooting for, especially if you're local media. So, that's what they do. One could try to put it on A.J. Brown, to try and not say anything to ignite the media, but at the same time, you can't expect probably all the players that you have all the time to do that. Everyone's not Jalen Hurts, so, there's that. And other news, more positive news, we got 2 things. Number one is the return of Nakobe Dean to the lineup. This is something I'm happy about. Though I love the contribution so far of rookie Jihad Campbell. And it does make you wonder, Nakobe Dean comes back. Do you put Nakobe Dean back in his spot? Then what do you do with Jihad Campbell? Are you going to put him on the bench, which I can't see happening? Do you try to put him in more spots where he can rush the passer? Do you maybe put him in the role that Nolan Smith had last year, on the edge? What do we do with Jihad Campbell now? Because while there's certain things about Nakobe Dean that I prefer over Jihad, like right now, the IQ. I believe, and I've said this before, Nakobe Dean is the smartest player on the Eagles defense. This is why Vic Fangio loves him. He's like an extension of Vic on the field. He's without a doubt the leader, calls the plays for the defense and stuff like that, make sure everyone is in the spots that they're in. And he also is a guy that can communicate with Jalen Carter. Some of your more wild cards out there, for lack of a better word. Nakobe Dean is really good, man, communicating with those guys and keeping those guys focused. So Nakobe Dean has a lot of value for the Philadelphia Eagles. Along with, I think, against the run, he's probably the best, he's probably best out there for our struggling run defense right now versus, say, Jihad Campbell. So there's that. He's not the coverage guy that Jihad Campbell is, though. Against tight ends, especially, those big, long tight ends. That's where you want Jihad Campbell and Zach Bond kind of in there. So I think when you put Nakobe Dean in, you kind of shift responsibilities a little bit. You got to rely more on Bond to cover tight ends, and for Nakobe to kind of handle some of the other responsibilities. Whereas when you have Jihad and Bond in there, you can cover tight ends wherever they are. So Vic, I think, will figure those things out. But this is a good problem to have. Can't wait to see Nakobe back out there. And the other thing, shout out and congratulations to number 27, Quinyon Mitchell, for earning his first NFC Defensive Player of the Week. This, I believe, will be his first of many for the job that he's done on Ibuka and just in Tampa Bay in general, because most of the time he followed Ibuka, but there's other times when he had to stick Godwin, was his responsibility, and different things like that, and he was excellent. He was targeted 9 times, only allowed 2 completions, but I'm glad the NFL recognized that and rewarded him for that performance. His performance had a lot to do with, why we stymied Tampa Bay's offense. Okay, and shout out to Quinyon Mitchell for that. Also of note, Pat Surtain II, the older Pat Surtain, who I grew up watching with the Miami Dolphins, who's part of one of the best tandems. To me, is a top 10 tandem all time. Sam Madison and Pat Surtain, right? Pat Surtain, as we called him. His boy, Surtain II, who plays for the Denver Broncos, who the Philadelphia Eagles will be facing this week. He was just recently on the podcast that is held by Shady McCoy and Acho, Emmanuel Acho. And they had him on, And it was a nice little segment. Surtain chilling in his rules, you know what I mean? All blinged out and everything. And they asked him his top 5 corners right now. And he mentioned himself along with Derek Stingley Jr. And then he mentioned Quinyon Mitchell, among those corners who went. And I'm going to tell you why he mentioned Quinyon Mitchell. You see, me being a cornerback myself, I know how cornerbacks kind of think. There are different types of corners and everything, but the ones that guys like Surtain respect the most are the man guys. Of course, guys that can play zone and man, okay? But those man guys, who understand leverage, who understand, how to study a guy's hips and to follow them based on that, who understands what shoulder to kind of line up on when it comes to different corners, when to touch them, when not, how to do little sneaky little pulls, all those different things. And the final element, the main element, a guy that travels. You know, this traveling thing that, which is, the traveling by traveling. For those who don't know, that means when the defensive coordinator gives the cornerback the responsibility of playing a particular player on the other team, playing a particular wide receiver, and just following them wherever that wide receiver goes. If that wide receiver is on the right, he's there on the right with him. If he's on the left, he's there on the left with him. If he's in the slot, he's in the slot with him. And that means, like, in that coordinator's mind, he believes you're great. Remember, they didn't even do this with Darius Slay. Okay, we didn't even do this with not often we do this with Troy Vincent. Okay, I can't think of a corner that we traveled with since maybe Eric Allen. Going way back to the late 80s, early 90s. So in Vic Fangio's mind, Quinyon is a very, very special player. So we got one in Philly, man. And to get the respect of Surtain II, let me talk to you about Surtain II. Surtain II is a guy that is very unique cornerback. To me, he's the closest thing I've ever seen to the great Mike Haynes. Okay, Mike Haynes is a guy that I grew up watching when I first started watching football. Okay, he's drafted by the Raiders. Okay, but by the New England Patriots. Okay, in the late 70s, maybe 77, 78, something or other, right? He made the All-Pro number of times with the Patriots. He was Rookie of the Year. He later was traded to the Raiders during the 1983 season when the Raiders went to the Super Bowl. The Raiders at the time had Lester Hayes, the judge, okay? And what they were missing was just that one final piece, because they had a great team in 1983. They had Cliff Branch and Bletnikoff. They had rookie Marcus Allen, or this might have been Marcus Allen's second year. Either rookie or second year. Who was an outstanding running back then, one of my favorite running backs of all time. An offensive line that included guys like Arshell, different guys, Lyle Alzado on the defense, Howie Long. They were some animals, man. But that's secondary. This is the Raiders' legendary secondary. Probably, I think it's the greatest tandem all time. Mike Haynes, Lester Hayes. All right. Mike Haynes, okay, we talking was 6'3", had that long wingspan about 6'5", okay, 6'6", okay, and athletic, could run like a gazelle, would cover receivers, but he was also physical, at the point of attack. He tackled, all these different things. And when I look at Pat Surtain, I'm just like sitting there like, this dude is just like Mike Haynes, way he moves, everything. All right, so obviously, I'm going to tell you that Pat Surtain II is the best cornerback in the league right now. The NFL has also recognized that by making him Defensive Player of the Year last year. Okay, and for Pat Surtain to give Quinyon that type of praise is going to go a long way, towards him getting all types of awards and stuff like that, because that's just kind of how it works. His work, along with the opinion of peers who are in high places, will do it. Also, you just need to have Deion Sanders mention him on camera. You need to have a couple of certain guys. I wish Mike Haynes would be used like that. I bring up Mike Haynes a lot because I don't think he's brought up enough. Of course, he made the NFL All 100 team, stuff like that all time and those things. Okay, but I think he's the greatest corner of all time. I agree with his assessment that number one will be Pat Surtain. Number two right now, probably Derek Stingley, who plays for the Texans. He's more your just athletic corner, who's just your athletic playmaking corner, who's more so, I would say, in the frame of a Charles Woodson. That's what he kind of reminds me of, you know. And right now, because they have the longer resume than Quinyon, a little bit longer, I put both of those guys above them. And then right after that, man, you can plug in a few guys. Either is maybe Sauce Gardner or Quinyon. I think Quinyon's having a better season than Sauce right now, though. But Sauce is still Sauce. Still one of the best. I know there's a couple guys. I like Weatherspoon, if I'm getting his name right, on Seattle. There's a couple of guys right now, but Quinyon's in that conversation, top 5. And some say that so far this year, he's having a better season than Surtain II. I can't really speak to that because I haven't watched Denver's games closely, so I can't really speak to that, not to the degree that I watch Quinyon Mitchell play. So that's high praise, man. It's high praise for people to say that. Like, guys who are really studying these players, like Brian Baldinger has said that, so that's high praise for him, man. And we look forward to that. Both of those guys will be on the field this coming game. You got Denver and the Eagles playing each other here. So we get to see Surtain firsthand stick, whether he's guarding, A.J. Brown, who he claims he wants to guard, because he wants the best all the time, or Devontae Smith, And then we'll also get to see, and Smith is interesting because, they both were from Alabama, practiced against each other, played against each other, and played against each other once when we played the Denver Broncos during Jalen Hurts' rookie season. Very good game. I think the Eagles were able to win that game in Denver. And Devontae got a famous catch over Surtain. Surtain had perfect coverage, and Devontae came down with the ball. I'm sure he wants a little get lick back about that one. That's one thing. I think they were both rookies that season, So there's that. And then if he's on A.J. Brown, that'll be interesting to watch as well. So we'll see. I look forward to it, man. All right, so like I said, that's what I got right now on the Eagles update news. And I'll get with you next time when I give probably more of a prediction for the game. Probably do that tomorrow, so peace out.